Hey Facebook, how's everybody doing today? This is your pal Joe here with another short tutorial. And today I would like to talk about a question I get asked a lot, and that is, where do I start when it comes to equalizing or EQing an instrument or using an EQ? And for the most part, there is no set rule. You got to use your ears. Again, when all EQ does is, boost the good and get rid of the bad. Now, a lot of people think EQ is like this magic potion or this magic sauce. That here's the thing you have to remember: if the frequency isn't there to begin with, there's nothing an EQ can do for you. So again, it goes back to: did you get a player who's experienced? Is this instrument, is it top quality? Was the mic a great mic or a good mic? Was it recorded well? Again, those four factors have a lot to do with where we're at now. So I'm gonna get started, and I'll dive into a little bit more of what I'm talking about here. So let's listen to this. This is flute. We're gonna start with flute first. So let's take a quick listen. Okay, so yeah, it's fairly it's recorded fairly well. I mean, it's probably someone's home studio. They're sitting in a room or something, so it's not bad. It's not a bad recording. But let's go into the EQ settings here. So let me turn my EQ off. So anyway, fundamentally, the low part of a flute, the lowest part, like the G and the A, lives around here. So a lot of you classical players that play classical, you're going to want to boost around 400, 500, around there. And then the upper part of the flute is around, I would say, about 1.5, 2K. So let's not use the EQ, and let's take a look and see if I'm right. As you can see, let's try that again. As you can see, it's dancing around again the 1.5, and as it goes lower, around the 400. Let's take a look at it again. Now I would even go, I would even go as far as to boost. If it's a solo flute, I would boost the 900 to 5 to 1.5. You know, like right there. And then so again, it dances. There's the middle part of the horn. There's the upper part of the horn. Again, it all depends on the style of music you're going for. If this is a solo thing, then all you do is you go here, and this is Logic. Save as. It's gonna stop, and then you're just gonna put flute starter. And again, there's a lot of variables to this, guys. There's tons of things that could go wrong. I mean, there's tons of things. I mean, this is not a universal rule. But as you can see, when he was playing, the flute was dancing around here. The middle registers here and down here. So I don't do drastic things. I just 2 dB at the most. So let's see if I improve the sound or if I didn't do anything at all. Okay, fantastic. Now I have two flutes here, and it's the same player. Now, when you go and you say it fits the same mic, same day, same. Usually, flute two plays in the lower part. So again, you can again have this EQ here. Go to my flute starter. See right there, boom, right there. And then here's the thing. When you start EQing things, and especially if you're doing 5 or 6 flute parts, when you go to your submix for your flutes, again that 1K is going to start building up. So what you want to do is, and I'll show you what you mean. Now that we have two flute parts, um, let's take a look at the spectrum here. This is both flutes playing. Do you see how it kind of like muddied up the waters there? Let's go ahead and put a dip. If it's, again, this is only if you're using more than one flute and they're going to be playing in the same frequency range. Again, I dip at 3 dB at the most. And let's see if this helped. Side note here, if you have two instruments playing in the same frequency, like let's take flute 1 and flute 2. Give me a second here. Let me pull these both up. All right, so here's flute 1 and here's flute 2. And we're going to solo these. If you really want the second part to come out, so flute 1, as we saw, was playing up here. On flute 2, go ahead and dip that frequency. And this goes for all the instruments. So I'll play that right now at the beginning. Just check it out. Okay, cool. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back to where it was. Go to my flute starter. And listen how the sound kind of clashes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to dip that frequency in the second part, okay? And watch what happens to the clarity in both parts. Okay, that's just a little side note. If you have two instruments that are playing in the same frequency in the same octave, and especially if it's the same player, go ahead and dip the one of the frequencies that you're accentuating, that you're boosting. Go ahead and dip it in the other part, and you'll get a lot more clarity that way. End of side note. The next is the clarinet. Again, it's all where the clarinet lives. And so I got clarinet here. And this is where they're playing at. Now, as you can see, the clarinet kind of lives around the 1K area, the higher part of his frequency range. Let's see if I'm right. Turn on the EQ analyzer. Do it again. So let's do it one more time. As you see, where we turned on the EQ, we kind of accented where he was playing at. And again, that's the C and above. And again, most clarinets don't play down there. They play in the, again, if you're playing classical and you're doing a clarinet thing, let's check the EQ for that. Again, lower clarinets in the lower register are around 200, and you got to be very careful because this frequency can get muddy real quick, guys. So let's go ahead and turn this off, and let's play the third clarinet. As you can see, we boosted the lower end here at 200. And again, it all depends on where he's playing. This is the lower end. This is the upper end of the clarinet. If he's going to be mostly playing in the middle, I would boost around 500-600. Again, this is a pretty good starter for, again, a clarinet. So, I'll just put clarinet. Okay. All right, so and then as you can see, I have 4 clarinets here, and I'm gonna just go ahead and copy this over. And if you're using a Mac, it is Shift Option, and so let's go ahead and listen to that without the EQ first. As you can see, they're playing in the middle to low register, so let's go ahead and hit the EQ. Okay, so let's add the upper clarinets. Yeah, so as you can see, without the EQ, let's take the EQ out. Okay, let's boost it good. Again, if in mixing, it's not about the drastic things you do. It's not about the major changes you make. Again, this is a good player. He has a great instrument. The mic was good. He was in a fairly good room. As you can see, I didn't touch on this, but let me, I rolled off the low end about 100. Clarinets don't live down there. Bass clarinet at the most is going to go down to 200. But again, it's a good starter. You know, it's for clarinet one. This is a good starting point. So, see, clarinet starter, boom, right? And if it's clarinet and he's playing mostly up here, you don't need, you know, that. Again, this is something just so you can go to the setting, hit it real quick, and then go, okay, where is he playing? Okay, I don't need that frequency, and get rid of it. That saves so much time. What we're doing is we're trying to expedite your time and, you know, make you more efficient. All right, so let's turn off EQ here, and let's go to the alto sax. Now, usually the alto sax is somewhere near the trumpet, and the trumpet are very similar. But usually the body of an alto sax is around 400. The honk, if you want to get rid of that, that's around 1.5. But if you want more like that honky, that, you know, duck type saxophone sound, that's again at 1.5. And then the brilliance is around 3. Be very careful with that though. So let's hear the sax, the alto sax. So as you can see, he's dancing around 400, and again around 3. Again, that's why one of the things I really like about Logic is that you can see where, you know, they're the frequency where they're the strongest. So again, like I boost around. So if I go over here in my situation, again, it's going to be different for everybody. So let's go ahead and use the EQ now. Okay, so again, I just boost 2, 3 dB, nothing much. Again, I have another saxophonist here, alto, and then I'm just going to go ahead and, okay, and let's see again. Again, dancing around 3K, and then in the lower register around 400. This would be a good starter for alto saxophone. You know, I mean, it's a good starting point. That's all we're doing here. Is I'm just giving you like a good, yeah, alto sax. Okay, let's go on to the tenor now. Now the tenor is a tricky one. Again, I roll off the low end. The bottom part of a tenor is around 250. And the tenor mimics the human voice a lot. And that's why tenor is featured a lot in jazz band music and rock music, and that's why the saxophone is such a preferred instrument, especially the tenor, is because it mimics the human voice so well. So if when I go ahead and hit the EQ and the analyzer here, you're gonna see that tenors mostly dance around. Even in the upper register, they're gonna dance around 1K, 250. So let me play tenor part. And as you can see, like the honk part of the sorry, as you see again, he's dancing around that 250 range, and so if you boost that, you're in good shape. And then the the again, they call it the saxophone, like that quacky hunky ducky sound. If you want some of that, boost that 1.5. The body of the saxophone is around 250K though, 2 to 253. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing on tenor 2. I got 2 tenors here, so okay. As you can see, when I started boosting around the 250 range, the bottom end came up, and again, when he went up to the upper register, 1.5K. That's so for tenor saxophone, this is a good starting point. Okay. Now let's move on to the bari, which is probably my favorite instrument in the big band. And I'll tell you why. The bari has traits. A lot of times in a jazz band or in a funk band, the bari, and even in a salsa band, the bari will have trombone-like traits, and the bari growls around 150, around there. And then again, the honk of the bari is around that 1.5. Let's play some of the chart here, or the track here, and you can see what I'm talking about. Also, too, bari, if he's in the upper register, you might want to hear him at around 750. Now let me turn it off. Turn on. Now here's the thing. So yeah, it's a good start. Again, it's not a drastic change, and I'll tell you what's going to make the difference in a second here. Okay. Now, say you have a section like a sax section. Okay. And I always bust my saxophones to a aux. So let's listen to them with EQ. So as you can hear them as a whole. Now let's put some glue on them. I just put a compressor. Nothing done. There's no compression. I just... Do you see how they just came to life? Again, that's what I would do. After you're done EQing your instrument, then comes compression, and then you're just boosting the good. Let's move on to the trumpet. So, Trumpet, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this one. Trumpet, the nasally sound of the trumpet is around 1.6K, 1.5. So I kind of like dip that. Again, I roll off at 100. For the trumpet, there's nothing there. If you're playing classical trumpet, if this is a classical, again, this is a commercial piece, so I don't have to worry about it. But the mid range of the trumpet is around 800 to 700. So the bottom from like C in the staff all the way down. No, I'm sorry, maybe like 1K to like 800. So in this area right here, if you're gonna play classical trumpet, you're gonna want to boost that, and you're gonna want to boost the low end to bring up the bottom. If you're playing really dark, you might want to boost 250, 300. But in this case, let's look at the trumpet. And again, this is a lead trumpet player, so he's gonna be playing in the upper register. But again, it's sorry about that. Again, the higher register is around 3K, 4K. Again, his middle register is around here, and the bottom is 1K to 800. So again, most trumpets are usually, I just boost that brilliance part, and then if you want, again, boost the lower end of the trumpet, you're more than welcome to. But I just like to start off with that because, again, if you're doing the virtual like ensemble stuff, that stuff starts building up. And then, so what I do is I go over here to my trumpet bus, and like with the flutes, I go here, and it does build. So I'll just go ahead and dip it a little bit. And again, if they start screaming, if they go up to the upper register, I'll boost them around 15K, just a little bit there. So let's check it out without EQ and compression. Remember, compression just is the glue that sticks them together. So let's listen to them without EQ. Okay. That was a good section. Good lead player. I wonder who that is. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the EQ there. And again, what we did is we did the dip here. And again, this is just for a section. I did like a little dip just so it doesn't overbear. It's not overbearing and starts, causing problems. And then let's hit the glue here. And let's hear them. All right. So again, without. Again, we just boost just a little. It's the little things in mixing that makes all the difference. Now, trombones. Trombone, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful instruments on the planet. And so I've noticed trombone mostly lives around, the brilliance of a trombone is around here. That's kind of, I boost the sparkle. That's kind of what I call the sparkle. And then, again, don't forget, guys, I forgot to save the settings. So, when, make sure you save your settings. But the bottom, the upper, the lower, the upper mids of a trombone are here. And the top register is around 1.5. So let's listen to, again, this is a big band here. As you can see, he's dancing around that 450, again, 1.5. And again, the brilliance, you can see it's a little bit, but it's there. So again, if this was classical trombone, I would be again, you boost around 4 to 6 around this area right here. But since this is like a jazz trombone thing, I'm gonna head again, and then again, it's a pretty universal thing. So I got 2 trombones here. So let me go ahead and move those over. So let's listen to all 3 trombones without the EQ and see if I make good choices. See if I was correct. As you can see, especially on the 3rd trombone, he's dancing around. And there's a little bit of information down here, but he's mostly around this area. So again, that 1.5 or 1.5 area, the brilliance area, he's not really there. So in the 3rd trombones, you can get rid of that. Again, that's if you're doing a section. If I was doing a solo trombone, I would more than likely boost 1.5 and then boost around 450. Again, be careful because that can get muddy real quick. Let's go to the bass trombone, which is one of my favorite instruments as well. Bass trombone is going to growl around 200. Again, that 450 area, but that's in his upper range. And then, again, that not the brilliance, but that 1.5. Watch. Let's see if he's around there. Again, that's 200. Again, let's see, that's where he's growling at. And then you got that 450. He's not really doing much here. So for bass trombone, you would just dip that. And then here's another thing too. If you're really feeling adventurous, go ahead and boost the bottom end. But then make sure he's nowhere near the bass. Again, if there's a bass player, he's gonna clash with the bass and the kick drum. So, but if you need a little more bottom end, I would do that. I would boost around. I'd boost around 100. But again, that's where the bass lives, so be very careful with that. Let's listen to the section. Again, if you have a section, it's very it's a good practice to find the common denominator as far as the frequency, and that's that 1 point right there, and then dip just a little bit because it tends to build up, and then glue them together. Let's listen to them. Listen without EQ. Again, we just brought out the brilliance. It's not a major. It's not a drastic change, but it's the small things you do in mixing that leads up to a really great mix. And again, the balancing. If you're doing a section, balancing is probably the most important thing you can do. All right, so let's listen to our track fully EQ'd, or just the horns anyway, and let's see what we got. First of all, let's listen to it without any processing whatsoever. Okay, cool. So let's listen to it with EQ. It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. All right, cool. So, like I said, it's a subtle difference, but it is there. Let's listen to the shout chorus with our sax section. And again, let's do that. Put my saxophones in. All right, here we go. All right, so as we can see, we had a hot dog here, and let's remember I said if you have a guy that's doing that pyrotechnic stuff, go ahead and boost him at 14K, and watch him just pop out in that mix. So again, we'll do it without EQ, and then with EQ. So okay, so no EQ. All right, now let's listen to it with some EQ. Again, I haven't EQ'd the solo trumpet, but I mean, all in all, he does have a little bit of EQ on him. But again, I just use starter settings, and I got my mix, sounding pretty good. So, also one of the things I found out is that in Logic, it helps if you really want some separation. Just pan your auxes. Those of you who are using Logic, I have my bones. They go from here all the way down, and my trumpets start from here and they go to about 3 o'clock. My saxes and woodwinds are on this side. If I didn't pan them, so I'm gonna go ahead and not pan them. It kind of muddies up the waters a little bit. And I'll just play I'll play the track for you guys. All right, so for me, it kind of muddies up the waters, but let's go ahead and let's pan these things and watch what happens. Look at the separation. All right, so you see what I mean? Panning your auxes does help. It gives you that separation you're looking for. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing in Logic. Maybe for you Logic users can explain that to me. I work in Pro Tools. But, yeah, that's just, I hope, again, that's just a little something that has helped me along the way is learning some of these quick ways to EQ these things. And then, again, just if I have a flute, I have I have one similar. Again, this is Logic, and I work in Pro Tools, and I use third-party plugins. I don't use the stock. But this is if you're getting started and you're wanting to know where to begin and a good place to begin. Eventually, you're going to have your own way of EQing certain instruments that works for you and what you do. I hope this helps somebody. That's the name of the game, is helping each other. Again, guys, there's a million ways to do this. There's 100 ways to do this, and this is just one of them. If it sounds good, then it is good, to quote my friend Kevin Ward. Also, don't discount balancing your tracks. Balance is so important. That's one thing I learned from Dave Darlington, who's an amazing audio engineer out of New York City. He says that the balancing is more important than EQ compression. If you don't have everything balanced, it's not going to come out right. So make sure you balance first, and then EQ and pan, balance, EQ, compress. So that's just my quick tip for the day, guys. I hope I helped someone again. And again, thank you so much for all the comments. Thank you for the love and support. And enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk soon.